Hey folks, just a quick heads up that all episodes of the Film Nuts podcast contain heavy spoilers and some strong language. Nothing too crazy, but make sure there's no one with sensitive ears too close by. And if you like what you hear today, please consider becoming a patron of the show. You can find links to that page in the show notes, or you can visit patreon.com/filmnuts. Okay, anyway, please enjoy the show, and thank you so much for listening.
Can I just ask you a question, maybe?
Of course, yeah.
I know who you are.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, you're the most excellent CDC at the most excellent restaurant in the entire United States of America. So, what are you doing here, I guess?
Making sandwiches.
Here's this extremely experienced chef who's coming back to his hometown, a place that he really wanted to run away from, but is now having to go back and, in a way, save a portion of his family's legacy. But in that background, he's having to do this in the middle of really truly confronting all the stuff that he left behind.
Hi, I'm Taylor, and welcome back to the Film Nuts podcast, a show about why we love what we watch. So right off the bat, I'm going to say that The Bear is one of my favorite shows of all time, and it hasn't even ended yet. There's something presented in this show that I truly appreciate, and that is the importance of care. The Bear itself is a production whose attention to detail and purpose is evident in every episode. And the Bear's characters are all trying their best to put so much care into their work and relationships. Are they perfect in their attempts? Absolutely not. But the characters' intentions are one of the many reasons why The Bear has inspired my guest today. Hip-hop artist Lenny, spelled LXNNY, was hooked by The Bear's portrayal of the raw and honest process of making food, equating that to the process of creating art. Lenny and I talk about imposter syndrome, finding ways to work through loss, and the chaos and tranquility of The Bear. Be sure and stay tuned to the end of the episode where you can hear some of Lenny's music. But for now, let it rip. Here's Lenny talking about The Bear on the Film Nuts podcast.
Today is actually a really cool day because my EP that I just released, Mango Sharbert, just came out. So I'm feeling good, man. Just been all day trying to figure out that in between work and everything. Updating the website, links, things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. How long have you been working on that particular project?
That one, it wasn't really long, to be honest. I feel like maybe with writing and recording and everything like that, a couple of weeks. It was just kind of waiting and figuring out the timing after that.
So I've talked with actually a number of hip hop artists have been on the show. It's been really cool. What's your creative process? I know that's a generic term, but how do you get inspired to make what you make?
Yeah, no, I love that question. For me, it's really just living life and just consuming different things, if you will. I kind of create my own world and my own bubble of things I'm interested in. So just taking that and incorporating those thought processes into what I do. And then, just hearing the things and paying attention to things that's in front of me. If I'm outside seeing some beautiful nature or, hearing a sound, if I'm, out in public at a store or something, at a restaurant, hear a song that I've never heard before, gives me the inspiration to sample it. And then, with rapping and writing the lyrics, that just kind of comes on a day to day. I randomly start thinking about different lines or different ways to put things together. So it's kind of going with the flow.
You mentioned using that word consume. What types of things are you consuming that lead to? If you want to talk about the project specifically, what kind of things did you consume or were you inspired by when you were working on this one?
I gotcha. Yeah, for me, it's definitely different movies and TV shows and just music as well. And with this project, it really was just me trying to have fun, not really overthinking the process of writing. and just flowing with what comes to mind. It felt like production that I wouldn't say is like always my main go-to, if you will, but kind of in the same vein. So yeah, that was cool.
So what kinds of movies and shows were you watching?
Yeah, so definitely The Bear when it came out.
Smaller fry scoops today, chef. Behind.
Not system.
What is this system?
Michael's system.
That's Carmen, there's the girl.
Yeah, that's Sydney. She's helping us out today. Michael's system makes no sense. I'm saying something.
Marcus, I say something. You are my favorite bitch.
Oh, your English is getting tight, Zeebs. You kidnapping ship captains?
Your mom teach me doing sex.
Oh, that's not cool. I'm fucking with you. That's how you do it.
Hey, yo, Gary, you set up a compost for me today, chef?
After I do my thing in the place.
It's very clear. Thank you.
What about The Bear inspired you so much?
I really have always loved like cooking and the idea of being a chef. I used to watch Food Network a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And when I first watched like season 1 of The Bear, it was really nice to see that thing that I appreciated and that I like in such a direct and like adult way, if you will. Didn't cut any corners, not trying to appeal to anything, really just raw, uncut, like experience. But experience that's like, man, things are tough, but like you can do it as well. And yeah, just like watching that. It's crazy, like hearing people talk about it. I went to a cooking class with my wife and the chef talked about how like some of the scenes really got to her and like made her hyperventilate and things like that, taking her back to the days, you know, in the kitchen, especially like the ticketing scene.
There's 4 kicks and still
I was going to cut them.
They're not even cut yet?
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal.
Chef!
I'm doing them in 5, basically. I'm gonna order them in
stop.
5.
Everything. Fire everything right fucking now.
Okay, I'll fire everything now. I just was finishing
Step
talking
out.
to Marcus and
Step out.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to Marcus.
Now
I'll
get the
order
fuck off my expo, chef, now! Get the fuck off! Thank you. We're firing 76 beefs, 34 chickens, okay? 12 french fries, 12 mash, fucking now.
For me, I'm like, man, watching the show, it actually made me like want to be a chef like more. I tell people, I'm like, dude, if I ever had to make like a life pivot, I might just go to culinary school, you know, and just full-fledged and go that way. Maybe that'll be my midlife crisis. So.
Have you ever worked in a restaurant?
No, I have not. No, just been like a consumer. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So, but I've been in the vein of like retail and service, just not food.
Yeah. I feel I'm a firm believer of everybody in their life needs to either work in a restaurant or work in retail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely get a true understanding of people, like from all sides, to be honest. I feel like people are their most vulnerable, if you will, when they're like eating or shopping in a weird way.
So what kinds of food shows were you into when you were younger?
30-Minute Meals, Rachel Ray, Iron Chef America.
Yeah.
It was like the How It's Made, but like for food. I can't think of the name of it.
Unwrapped?
I think it might have been Unwrapped.
Okay.
Yeah. I like Giada De Laurentiis. I watch Barefoot Contessa every now and then as well.
Yeah, I was a big food. Me and my family would watch Food Network on Fridays. It was Emerald, and then it was the original Iron Chef, like from Japan.
Yeah, yeah. I remember they used to come on like if you cut on Food Network like 2 a.m. or something, it would just have like a marathon of that.
Yeah,
it'd be wild.
Yeah, that was wild. That was the first thing that I had seen that was like food and theater at the same time.
Yeah.
I was like, this is extra. Like these guys are going hard on this show.
This is crazy. And Chopped too.
Chopped. Oh yeah, actually, my partner and I are watching Chopped right now because she had never seen it. I was like, oh, you actually dig this show?
Yeah.
And we're watching it, and I didn't realize like how like mean the judges are. Like,
yeah,
we were going back and watching old episodes, and the judges are so mean. But like, you know, that's a part of the gig.
It's a part of the gig.
So watching The Bear, you talked about kind of the things that inspired or appealed to you. So what was your initial reaction to it? Like, how did you get hooked on it?
Initial reaction, just like waiting to see, kind of like, all right, let me absorb the first few moments and kind of get a feel of where I feel this is going. Mm-hmm. And then when I realized it's like, okay, here's this extremely experienced chef who's coming back to his hometown, a place that he really wanted to run away from, but is now having to go back and in a way like save a portion of his like family's legacy. Mm-hmm. Through a restaurant. And, you know, it's obviously focused on the restaurant. And like, you know, as you watch it, especially season 2, you're really like deep into the story of like wanting to see that come to fruition. But in that background, it's like, these are the things that he's really battling, you know, like he's having to do this in the middle of really truly confronting all the stuff that he left behind in real time. So it's just crazy.
And so it seems to me you're kind of like someone who is very thoughtfully experiencing the things that he's like watching or listening to or you know, or eating, for lack of a better term, like thinking about what is like just contemplating a lot on what you're actually experiencing. But was there a moment in the show that you went, okay, I'm in this for however long this story is told?
I gotcha. I think it was when they were first trying to like put it all together in season 1, like hiring the staff, like having the dinner that Sid made and everything to see if she can be the chef. It's like, all right, this is gonna be a nice little roller coaster. I'm excited to see where this goes.
Rice, plantains, and a little fennel salad.
All right, I'm interested either. Yo, let's do this.
I bring my own. This looks like shit.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, still pay attention.
That's not
I don't
nice.
eat pork.
That's not nice.
It's not pork, it's beef.
He never
Look like pork.
Okay,
It look like pork.
All right, I'll start. I'm grateful for Philip K. Dick. In fact, you're up.
Me? I'm thankful for my cats, Ralph.
They both name Ralph?
Yeah, it's just like it's easier that way. Ralph.
All right, Teen, you're up. What's up?
I'm grateful for all y'all, my friend.
You fucking softy.
That was a good moment. I really appreciated that. The thing that hooked me was just like, I mean, I used to work in a restaurant and I didn't work back of house. I worked front of house, but you're around each other. And I always like, and like you cooking shows, like I always like the energy behind things. And so that's what I was that's what I was into, is like how fast things felt, but also every once in a while I just kind of like pulled back and like let you sit in a particular moment. Is there one of these when you're describing kind of like what you first were inspired by with the show, you were very focused on Carmi's character. Is that the character you most identify with?
So actually, no. I feel like as you watch it, naturally, especially being a creative, you want to attach yourself to that, because it's like, man, the idea of being able to attain your dream and taking that knowledge to come back and bring it to your city. But for me, it's more so Cousin and Sid, and mainly from the standpoint of like being only children and having people in their family that they lost are close. So those two stories for me, I connect with a lot, because for them, both of them, it's like they feel like they failed in a sense. Both of them express it in different ways, but they both want that chance for redemption, and they both express that in different ways as well. And they each have their own journey of how they have to like figure that out and understand, like, all right, I know where my niche is. I know where I can provide value, and this is where I need to double down.
I don't mean to pry, but do you mind sharing the story of loss that maybe connected you to these two characters?
Yeah. So for me, my dad passed away back in 2017. So learning that portion of Sid definitely hits home, because that's like another level to, you know, on top of being like an only child, just like another level of a way to live life, if you will, a weight. Yeah. And trying to maneuver through that and still like, realize your purpose and like still attain those dreams that you have. So
yeah, I understand. So with the characters of Richie and Sid, how do you think they handled this loss the same way, or did they handle them differently? And is there a process to which you particularly attach yourself to?
Yeah, I think like Richie is more outward, Sid's more inward.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I'm definitely more on the inward side, to where it sounds like Richie inside my head, but it's just in my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. It's like for him, he felt like he needed to be forceful to get his point across and stake his claim, where Sid felt like she needed to play the background because of maybe her mess ups in the past, when in reality it was like they both needed to do the opposite to grow.
We're lagging on these 7 fishes markets. Can you please help Connor out?
Yes, chef.
And T, you're good on T-bone?
Yes, chef.
Daniela, how's pasta?
Good, chef.
Thank you.
Where's Kermie?
Stuck in the wall.
Fred.
Walking. Told him you called him.
Hey, not now. Please, can you help me wipe dishes?
Yes, chef.
Thanks, chef.
Carm, you okay?
Okay, Marcus, don't forget, you got cannolis 4 by 2 by 2.
Morning, chef.
Where am I?
You're out front.
You nuts? It's scary out there.
No, you're nice. So just be nice. Pour water, pour wine, read minds, just check in.
I can't do this myself.
I can't do this, but, New World Order, pal.
I'm scared. Don't be scared.
Like Richie needed to fall back, get in line, and actually understand the process and know how to be a team player, where Sid actually needed to learn how to step up and understand that she's here for a reason, and you have to like go with your thought processes and be comfortable in the choices that you make and stand on it, but be prepared for the consequences also. But know that we can always adjust, whatever consequences happen and whatever bad things happen, we can adjust and correct it. So
I feel like you identifying with those two characters and the fact that you are an artist, I feel like if I asked a bunch of artists, they would almost pick the same thing, because both of them they both have imposter syndrome and the confidence, and they're just constantly swapping back and forth. Is that kind of how you see it?
Yeah, because I mean, if you think every day, it's like where you can be. You've been envisioning so long, like you do become delusional to the sense that it sounds far-fetched, but I feel like this can really be a thing. But at the same time, through going through that, you're also faced with like the reality of where you're at. So it's like, man, like kind of having that internal, like humbling yourself, if you will. But you just see the world in that way of like, I feel like I'm up here. Like, as far as talent and what my ability is, like, I feel like I'm on par. It's just that I have like a lot more steps in between that outside of just the talent and ability.
So which one of the characters do you feel like you are right now?
I feel like I'm Sid, in a sense, because I feel like I've already done the work in the process to get through Richie's part. Well, let me actually rephrase that. I feel like Sid when it comes to the art and the product, if you will, and like as far as this next steps that I need to take, like I feel like Sid in that regard, to where it's like I need to go out and claim it, reach out, touch people, fellowship with folks, and like really continue to foster that community. But then like on the big, like larger scale of it, as far as just being an artist and like having a certain niche, if you will, maybe knowing that I have the versatility to be able to do things, but also, again, going back to that reality of understand like what people think about when they hear my music. you know, or expect, if you will. And then feeling like Richie in that sense, to where it's like, man, like I got to figure out where I like truly like land in the world, if you will, with all of the way I feel with the art and stuff like that. It's like, all right, but presented to the world, I have to figure out where I fall, because I feel like I can do so many different things, but like, where can I fall and make that impact? So
yeah, that makes sense. One of my favorite moments in season 2 is when Sid is going around and trying all the food in Chicago.
Yeah.
Where you at right now?
We're actually about to open up a new spot on Orleans. Yeah.
Always trying to be the best.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
So, how's it going?
It's not bad. It's just, a lot.
Is there a timeline to opening?
We want to open in May.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great response.
They keep cutting to the shot of like the blank, empty black bowl, and like it's just random stuff in there, like her brain going through that process of putting the things together. She's very much focused on the art, the accolades, the self-expression in a way, trying a bunch of different things. But she wants, people to eat it. She wants people to enjoy it. You mentioned earlier about just the music you put together. What is your goal with how someone receives your music?
Yeah. For me, I want them to feel like it's something that they can like live life to and be vulnerable to and with, if that makes any sense. For me, music was an escape. So I want people to be able to get lost in my music, no matter what they got going on in the world, and feel like, okay, I can relate to this person. I'm not the only person that may be like dealing with something, but there is like light on the other side. And I always want that to be in my music, like, yeah, we might hit some like topics and I might, talk about how I'm feeling. That's in a very deep, direct way, but I want to take it back and have fun as well, because I want to have fun in life, but again, I just have to be like cognizant of like what's really going on and what I'm really thinking about. Yeah.
Where did it seems I was listening to some of your music, and it very much to me creates kind of a mood. I feel like a lot of hip hop artists, a lot of rappers, the prominent part of their music is the message and the wordplay. But I feel like with yours, that's present, but also the music is very like, it's tranquil. I think, for lack of a better term, like it's just, for me, I was just like in a space where I was so calm that I ended up just like paying attention to only you. I wasn't even like realizing that I was like doing that. And to me, the weird thing is that The Bear is such a show that does such a good job with creating chaos. How do you, someone who creates very like chill, inward, contemplative music, how, like, what is that balance like of like creating one thing but enjoying something else?
Yeah. I guess because for me, I feel like everything is chaos in reality. When you try to compartmentalize like maybe one specific scenario, maybe it's not chaos. Like right now, we're having a great conversation, talking about a great show, great topics. It's no chaos going on right now.
Right. Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it's no chaos going on in the world when you continue to take a wider lens.
Yeah.
And a wider scope of things. So, and that's kind of how I feel about everything, if you will. It's like, I like to say this a lot, at least in my head. Like, I feel like everything is jazz. Like, jazz is like it can sound chaotic if you don't really know what's going on. But if you know what's going on, it doesn't sound chaotic. It actually sounds very put together and methodical. But if you don't, it's just noise for some people.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is there an episode of the show that really hits home for you?
It's definitely, out of everything, it's for sure Richie's episode.
The Forks episode?
Yeah.
That wasn't clean.
I've been doing this for 9 hours. I think I know what's clean.
I'm telling you that's not clean. That was not clean either. Please do them properly.
Yo, they're goddamn forks.
Outside. Do you think this is below you or something?
Man, I think I'm 45 years old polishing forks.
No one is asking you to be here. I don't think anybody remembers your name.
Nice try. You think I don't know how hard it is hiring people since COVID?
We don't have that problem.
You really drink this Kool-Aid, huh?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
Because I love this, Richie.
It felt like we really watched him hit rock bottom in that episode. Like, he was already feeling like, you know, low and like, I don't really know where I stand. Like, kind of getting paranoid, if you will, creating his own thought processes of how people are feeling about him. Because it goes to like his upbringing, you know, moving around a lot. You know, I didn't have that necessarily. But yeah, you know, only child, moving around a lot and feeling like relationships could be fickle if you do like one thing and like mess up once or something. So like prematurely in your head, severing the ties, if you will, so that way if it happens, you're not surprised. So like the way he was talking to cousin, like, I know you wanted to get rid of me, you know, that's why you sent me here. You know, then understanding what's going on with his ex-wife, that's just like the point where it's like, all right, he's as low as he can be right now. Like, he has nowhere to go but up. And then once he humbled himself and honestly got to that point of just like days of, I'm just going to focus on what I'm doing in front of me and just like whatever happens next, happens next. And then in that, figured out his value and understanding like, dog, like, you're a people person, you know, like, yeah, you are who you are, but that's why people want you around. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to like not be that person. It's just like, just tame it down a little bit, you know, still play the instrument. Just don't like be blasting the horn. Like, just tone it down just a little bit, take it down a couple decibels and keep doing what you're doing. And then him realizing that in real time in such a like, you know, prestigious scenario, and realizing that if I can be valuable here, like, I can do this anywhere. And then once, you know, the finale, it's like he's coming in there like, yeah, I wear suits now. He gets up like 5, clean, you know what I mean? Like, his whole thought process on everything is like different. It was just like a shift. So yeah, that was one.
Why is that episode one that hits home for you?
Because I just love seeing that process and seeing somebody get out of that. Because I feel like it's a lot of times where you see stuff where folks like, I don't know, folks are not able to get out of those situations. And I just like seeing the hope, you know, in like the realistic scenarios. And it was just beautiful to watch, man. Like, person just really finding like their purpose and value in real time, like putting it into practice and just having the switch click. It was just beautiful to see.
So sorry for the interruption, but I will be brief. I am so grateful that you decided to listen to the Film Nuts podcast today. If you are enjoying what you're hearing, please consider supporting the show on Patreon. With a small monthly amount, you can get access to behind-the-scenes goodies, early access to full episodes, and you can vote on what movie we watch the first Monday of every month on the Nut House Discord. The Nut House itself is free to join and is full of other film and TV lovers, so you'll fit right in. You can check out info on all these things in the show notes. And if all of this sounds like a bit too much, that's totally okay. But if you want to keep up to date on all of our episodes, please be sure and subscribe on your favorite platform of choice. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and leave a rating and review so we can get in front of other awesome people like yourself. Okay, enough of me rambling. Back to the good stuff. Because you said you connected with Richie, like, is that, are you someone that has been down low and had to overcome that by realizing certain things?
Yeah, I mean, definitely with the passing of my dad and like, you know, moving out to an entirely different state, starting a whole new situation in that regard while dealing with stuff with my dad. It's just a lot. And then even with like, you know, the music, like knowing you're maybe like a late bloomer, because he spoke about that as well. Him really like figuring stuff out. I mean, he was like 45, he spoke about it. But like with me and music, compared to most people, like I'm a late bloomer. A lot of folks started when they were like, you know, 14, 12, like super young. And for me, like I was in a band from like third grade to high school.
Nice.
And that was like my musical like school, if you will. But I wasn't like creating anything on my own, whether it was raps or like beats or anything. So I didn't start until I was already in college. So I didn't really start, you know, get in my groove with things and like getting to the point where it's like, okay, I'm pretty good at this until like a couple years ago, realistically. So it took time. So feeling like a late bloomer, and trying to figure out, okay, where do I fit now? And competing with maybe folks that, you know, started at a younger age and like have like a head start, if you will. So it's like, how do I maximize the time and the situation?
Yeah. Every second counts, right?
Yeah. Every second counts.
Speaking of music, so from a musical standpoint, I mean, this show does a lot of needle drops, indie bands, or a lot of stuff from the 90s too. But just from the musical standpoint of this show, the way it flows, the way that all the elements of production kind of mingle together, is there a rhythm or a sound to the show that you've noticed?
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy though, I can't lie. Like through watching the show, I don't necessarily remember like the score, if you will, like on a lot of songs that were played. A lot of my favorite moments are when there was really no music and it was really the sound of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And the silence of conversations, just the noise in the kitchen, you know, just hearing whatever song, if they're like playing something on the radio or something, because it's like immersing you in the experience with them. You just feel like a person who's just like standing in the room as they're going about all these things.
For people who are watching this show, and you know there are characters to identify with, there are scenarios to identify with. Why do you think this show has become so successful? Because like on paper, it seems like it doesn't seem like anything special, but then you watch it and it's got a lot to say. So what do you think might be drawing people in?
Yeah. I think really because at its core it's a show about triumph through hardships. And I think with everything, you know, the world has been going through, like really just in the existence of humanity, like folks love that story. But then when you add another layer to it, the demographic as far as like the age and the time we're in, a lot of the folks on the show are in an age range to where it's like, you know, you got some probably like late 20, you know, but then you got some 40, mid 40s. And it's people from, and even older, honestly, when you start to think about the staff. So older than that, all these people trying to figure life out, you know, from all different walks of life, and being put in a scenario that, in a context that everybody can appreciate, because we all eat. We all love food.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I've ever met anybody that hasn't appreciated going to a good restaurant.
Yeah.
So being able to see people come together to be able to provide that experience and really try to make it, it's inspiring, you know, especially with stuff happening, you know, with the pandemic. And a lot of folks are just trying to be independent, figure out different ways to get things going and work for themselves, or even just like go back into school, you know, figure out different things that they can learn and different industries that they can get into and kind of having a fresh start. So I think a lot of people can latch on to that, whether it's from the creative aspect or the full-fledged 9-to-5 scenario.
Yeah, I think we all like to see those stories of people, to use your word, triumphing, accomplishing something that is difficult. It also helps that all the characters are incredibly entertaining to watch too. They all have their quirks and the way they talk and the way they act.
Exactly.
So one of the things that I love that I sometimes get eye rolls about is that this does a really good job. This show does a really good job of presenting food as art.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't make it seem pretentious. Like it makes it seem interesting.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on kind of, I guess in that sense, it boils down to what is accessible to people. Mm-hmm. So when you're creating your art, what kind of level of accessibility are you keeping in mind? Do you want it for a specific audience? Do you want it for everyone? Do you want it for underrepresented or what like some set of people? Like who are you targeting when you are making your music, if you are targeting anyone?
In a sense, I feel like I'm targeting people that are like-minded, like me, if you will. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you have an appreciation for hip hop and jazz, just honestly, those two things at its core. And, or let me add a third, just like old school music. And that ranges from 60s, 70s, 80s, all the stuff our parents listened to. If you have an appreciation for those three things, I feel like you will be able to find something in my catalog that you appreciate. And then, as far as thinking about the audience, definitely nowadays, as far as the new cadences and drum patterns, if you will, because I don't like to say call them a type of drums because they're all drums to me. Kick, snare, hi-hat. It's just the rhythm and the flow that you put it into and gives it a certain bounce. So the new bounce that's happening right now, and that's really the wave of a lot of things. Again, that's where it's I feel like Richie, where do I, how do I get into that and make sure I'm able to continue to appeal to, a larger audience, because everybody likes to do that, artists, but still not compromising my art because I am an artist at the end of the day. Yeah. But there is the middle ground, and it's trying to figure out that middle ground and ride that line.
Yeah, there is a sense in the artistic world that the idea of compromise, what do you compromise for? Are you someone who will compromise for the right thing, or are you very steadfast in your vision of things?
I don't know if I would say it's compromise for me personally. Because I have a lot of things that if I can talk, I have a lot of things that I am influenced by. So, I really love The Alchemist, but I really love Metro Boomin. I really love Jay-Z, but I really love Future. So the idea of maybe doing something that can appeal to a larger audience, doesn't feel like compromise because I'm interested in those things. If Future or Young Thug or, ESTG ever wanted to work with me in any capacity, I would be extremely excited. And I feel like I need to be able to have things in my repertoire to allow for that to happen. Just at the same time, if Earl Sweatshirt, freaking Boldy James, Freddie Gibbs, Currency, Action Bronson, if these folks want to hop on a song with me as well, I'm definitely trying to be in those rooms. So
you're not too picky.
Yeah,
you got standards, but you're not too picky.
Yeah, I just have standards within those genres of the things that I like, but I like it all. I would love to be on just a record where it's just a jazz band going crazy and I'm just boom rapping some bars. I want to be able to go into every room because I genuinely like appreciate every room. So
what I'm trying to think of, I don't know the right way to really phrase this question, but one of the things that I really took away from it, at least the second time watching through it, I probably noticed it the first time maybe, was how much emphasis this show puts on caring about what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, you seem like a person who appreciates that. And I think as any musical person, they're caring about what they're making. Did that come from somewhere for you?
I feel like it's really my tenure, like in the band and just that upbringing of just like liking design and like liking the processes of things. And then it's interesting because being in the band, you're like a part of the process. You're like, me as a producer, if I take some drums here, take some sounds here, I'm kind of like a conductor in a sense and like a scientist in that way. But when you're just playing that instrument, you're the person kind of just being moved around and picked and where do you need to go? What notes do you need to play?
You're talking about marching band?
Yeah. And then even like,
awesome.
Just like concert band in general, like with the different parts and stuff like that. I was in the jazz band as well.
Very cool. What did you play?
Trombone.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then my band director, like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Whiplash. That's what I should have picked on the low. Now think about it.
Haven't done that one.
Have you seen the movie Whiplash though?
Yes, I've seen it many times. It's a
okay.
Great film.
So this is going to sound extremely dramatic.
Okay.
But my band director was that guy.
Really?
And
I'm surprised you stuck with music after having
but
that guy's a band director.
But I understood where he was coming from. I like people that are straight with me.
Okay.
Even though I'm not necessarily, I mean, I say what comes to my mind and things like that, but I like it when people are very like just straight with me. No matter their thought process, if you will, like I just like it when they're straight with me. And what I appreciate with my band director is that's what he was. He might say something that was harsh. He might like get on you for something, but it was all from the sense of like, I want this to be good. Like, and I want you to be the best that you can be within this to make it the best it can be. This is a guy who was a band director for 30 years at this high school. I was from Raleigh, Broughton High School. He was a band director for 30 years, going to band competition, winning awards. Like, I mean, you go in the band room, it's plaques of everything that he's won. So like this guy has a standard, he's known in Raleigh and like respected, like people know this guy. So yeah, he was like that in Whiplash. Like literally I've seen him throw drumsticks like inside. I've seen him throw a chair, like for real. I've just seen him throw things in the room. And like he used to keep us and like cut into our lunch when we would be outside marching if we weren't getting things right.
Wow.
And this is like, so, but at the same time, like, I remember we went to Florida for a parade, like, and we rode Space Mountain with him, me and my friends, because we were joking around, like, because everybody in high school, like in the band, some people didn't like him because he was like the guy in Whiplash, they just were like, whatever. But we still were always cool with them. Like one time we went up and just like, he had on these like cool, like Fresh Prince type sweatpants, and this is an older, white dude. He's like, at the time, I feel like he's in his 50s, maybe 60s. And he's wearing these like super crazy sweatpants. And we're just like, yo, those are some really cool sweatpants. So in the process of complimenting him, we're just talking about the trip. And he's asking us about Space Mountain. And we're just like, no, we've never been on the ride. And he's like, all right, well, when we get there, we'll ride it. And we were just like, okay. And then I remember we get there, we get off the bus. He looks at us. He's like, hey, gentlemen, we might as well go ahead and knock that out. Let's go to Space Mountain. So I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, why not?
So for me, it's like, even through all the yelling, because he yelled at me and like, got on me. But I never like took it hard.
It sounds like Sounds like there was a lot of influence there, though. So
yeah,
look at you now. I mean,
yeah, no, seriously, I'd do it all over again if I had to, for sure.
To bring us home, what is your favorite moment or scene from the 2 seasons of The Bear?
You know, it might have been when the gas didn't leak.
Suppression seems to be working. I will now check the gas line. 10, 9.
That was, I felt the genuine like relief sigh of like, whoa, we're really about to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I felt that because we're talking about that anxiety. I felt the buildup of like, yo, yeah. I felt like I was in the room just like, oh my gosh, if this thing does not go, like this is going to be absolutely terrible. And when it didn't, it's like, okay.
Yeah. Like nice. You felt, you sighed and jumped up and down with everyone in that room.
But then got a little nervous because in a way, like now there's no excuses. See, that's the other like anxious part about that moment. It's like, okay, nothing went wrong. But now it's like, whoa, it's like, yay, we get to do this. But it's like, no. Now we really have to do this. So like, it's not a joke anymore. It's not a game. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's crazy.
Lenny, thanks so much for coming on, man. This has been a great talk.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's evident in talking with Lenny that balance is something that he strives for, and I think we can all relate to that. Whether it's embracing the ebbs and flows of life or integrating seemingly contrasting elements into some form of jazz, he has his own unique way of achieving that balance. For the characters in The Bear, especially the lead, Carmi, that process is a lot more difficult, and I think we can all relate to that as well. We feel we're only good at one thing, so we dedicate all of ourselves to that one thing, shutting out everything and everyone else. Or maybe we think we're not deserving of love, so we self-sabotage our relationships with other people. And maybe we get so accustomed to being out of balance that all we can do is remain in that precarious state. Personally, I struggle with a couple of these. And on my latest rewatch of The Bear for this episode, I've realized that that concept of care that I mentioned earlier should be applied in balance, and that the process of getting to a good place should be embraced, I guess. A huge thanks to Lenny for chatting with me today, and a very, very special thanks to all you Bears for listening. If you want to check out some of Lenny's music, go ahead and check out the show notes for links to that, as well as stay tuned to the end of the episode to hear a little preview. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please go ahead and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform of choice to stay up to date on all of our episodes. And if you happen to be listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave a rating and review to help us get noticed by more awesome folks like yourself. If you want to support the show on Patreon, please check out the show notes or visit patreon.com/filmnuts. And one quick important announcement. Our next episode will be a very special mid-season finale on Wes Anderson's The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. To find out why it's a very special episode, please be sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. After that episode, I'll be taking a few months off, but we'll be back in early 2024 with brand new Film Nuts goodness. Our theme this season is brought to us by The Deep End. Our artwork is designed by Madungwa Sibahudi, and all episodes of the Film Nuts podcast are produced and edited by me, Taylor D. Adams. If you want to get in touch, you can email filmnutspodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter @FilmNutsPodcast. And don't forget to join the Nut House Discord community absolutely free by checking out the link in the show notes. Thank you all so much for listening today. Until next time.
Merry Christmas, lizards.
Okay, I'm kidding. Anyway, as promised, here's Calypso by Lenny to play us out.
It's a beautiful Sunday morning. Bruce Banner with a pink Susan Merriwell. I seen Tinkerbell while floating through the fairy tale. Couple grams of protein with the plate of kale. Season well, shawty pupils got me in a spell. Train stop, heard a crash, had to shift course. Out here calling me a whore like we playing horse. Dressed in Polo Ralph Lauren like we play the sport. I'm trying to see if Meg Thee Stallion wanna help with chores. You know I'm trying to drive a yacht across Italian waters. Waves crash, enjoy the ocean sounds while she performing. Between the two, can't tell the differences I'm hearing. It's hard to concentrate to keep it steering. Back flipping to the pussy when we dock. A somersault increased the plot shit, but maybe not. Flying off the steel cage like the Hardy Boys. Niggas talking out they neck, but it's hardly noise. What Monty Williams say, nigga better play with poise. Scored 30 off the mid-range with 10 assists. Coulda had a triple-double, but he stole my shit. I guess he tryna do his job, gotta trust the big. Nigga guard me as food, I don't need to pick. Just make sure you on the wing if it comes to it. Give my man a back screen, I'ma float the shit. Nigga did a 360 off the perfect dish. Gotta put me in a skills challenge. For life, I need balance.